One of the greatest royal secrets that was never supposed to come to light was recently unveiled by LadyC. A statement that made Buckingham Palace shudder. Because, in LadyC's opinion, the tale that everyone believed to be true about Archie might not be the truth. Meghan Markle would never want something explosive to be set out, but she alludes to it. Archie and his mother reside in the United Kingdom. Not Meghan, not in Montecito, not in the brilliant brightness of their American estate, but in Britain with either Archie or Lily and his mother, who isn't Meghan. And it must take place. They must demonstrate that Meghan and Harry, those kids, have no right to privacy in this situation. Our right to know that no bastard will occupy our nation's throne supersedes their right to privacy. All Harry and Meghan have to do is show us that she gave birth to those infants. Suddenly, Meghan's taut grin, her composed demeanor in public, and her meticulously maintained image all start to show signs of weakness. Because nothing in the past 5 years makes sense if even a small portion of this assertion is accurate. This is where our journey starts, with a single, persistent query. In reality, where is Archie? And why does Meghan tend to be anxious about this particular subject? Let's now get into the core of this expose. Some stories fade away fast, while others become stronger every time someone attempts to bury them. This one definitely belongs in the second group. Away from the cameras and the press releases, a number of anonymous sources claim that Archie could not even be residing in America. Rather, rumors claim that he is quietly growing up in a typical family in the United Kingdom with a lady who is characterized as his mother rather than a nanny or caregiver. You are not asked to trust the tale in this chapter. It only asks you to enter the enigma. Unless somebody forced the concept into existence, why would anyone argue that Archie is in the UK? And that brings us to the time frame, the one location where all secrets music start to fall apart. The calendar is the first step in deciphering a royal mystery. Dates are truthful. Furthermore, the dates in this instance generate more questions than they provide answers. On May 19th, 2018, Harry and Meghan tied the knot. It was revealed that Archie was born on May 6th, 2019. This indicates that he was probably conceived in August 2018, just 3 months after the wedding. Normally, this would be straightforward math, but when it comes to the dynamics within the Sussex marriage, the math takes on a very other meaning. Because in their relationship, August 2018 wasn't just ordinary month. Meghan was said to have complete control over Harry's time and attention throughout this golden age, passionate beginning, and emotionally charged phase. A spouse in Meghan's situation would be emotionally attached to Harry, physically there for the majority of the day, intimately involved in every aspect of his life, and particularly protective of him in the beginning, according to psychiatric sources knowledgeable with relationships like this. This raises the question of how another lady could be in the picture at all if Meghan and Harry were inseparable at the time. Rather than providing a solution, the timing makes the enigma more compelling. It leaves a tiny gateway open, a narrow window of potential where something may have occurred that was not intended to be seen. This is the reason this exposed following section is so crucial. Here, we examine the very assertion that started this whole controversy. The notion that Archie was destined to stay in the UK. The narrative changes after you enter this assertion. Quietly unpleasant, yet not loud or dramatic. This is how the situation plays out. It is said that Meghan may not have reared the youngster that was introduced to the public as Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor in California at all. Rather, others claim that Archie lived with a British lady who was solely identified as his mother and who never accompanied him to the United States. In this version of events, Harry goes back to Britain for reasons other than nostalgia, legal cases, or charitable obligations. His child is there, so he goes back. Many phenomena that individuals have found difficult to comprehend are explained by this concept. Why does Harry seem nervous while talking about the UK? Why does he appear to be torn between two different worlds? Why does he travel frequently, briefly, and frequently undercover? Why certain achievements have never been made public? According to sources, Harry could be engaged in a quiet, secret struggle between the life he had anticipated and the one that really happened. Furthermore, Meghan wasn't supposed to be substituted in the story. Not by another mother, not by another lady, and not by music, a child who wasn't in her house. This is where the narrative gets more complex since, assuming Archie actually resides in the UK, there are only two possible starting points for the story, and both are explosive. The finest part of this expose, the beginnings, starts here. Because Archie's presence in the UK may indicate something far more combustible, according to one view of what happened. Harry could have fathered a kid with someone else. Let's be clear now. Although this is only a hypothetical situation, it is an exact replica of the one dread Meghan could never endure. Not treachery, music, not humiliation, but substitution. Just think of the emotional upheaval this would bring about. According to sources, having a kid with a different woman is more than simply infidelity for someone with Meghan's personality traits. The hurt cannot be forgiven. He would seem to have preferred another lady to her. Without her, he made up a tale. He created a connection over which she had no control. The saddest part is that it occurred immediately following the wedding. Relationships are typically ended by this type of injury. Not quietly, not gently, but with fire. However, that did not occur. Meghan stayed put. She didn't reveal him. She didn't pull away. Rather, she remained. The narrative comes to an end at that point. Because if this were the case, Meghan's choice to stay married would have nothing to do with love. Power would be at issue. Cannot comprehend Meghan's motivation for staying following such a betrayal. You have to see the benefits of staying for her. A scenario like this becomes a gold mine of leverage, according to sources that examine these dynamics. Suddenly, Meghan would have a secret that would serve her for the rest of her life and be far more beneficial than rage. She would maintain the royal rank, the international platform, the financial benefits, the closeness to a prince, and the capacity to influence the story in private if she remained married. More significantly, though, she would have a power over Harry that would never really fade. I'm aware of what you did. According to this perspective, Meghan would leave despite the betrayal. Because of the power it offers her, she would stay. She could establish the guidelines. The terms might be dictated by her. She might remind him of his potential losses at any time. Additionally, the purported setup would be straightforward. I'm going to remain. I'll bring up the youngster as our own. However, you're now accountable to me. The marriage becomes something quite distinct as a result of this dynamic. It's a quiet negotiation based on power and terror rather than a love relationship. However, this is just one possible course for the narrative. Sources present a second situation that is equally complex but does not involve cheating. At that point, the narrative switches to Archie's second potential origin, a UK surrogate who never gave him up. Nothing improper occurred between Harry and another woman in this version of events. Meghan had no hidden affair, no betrayal, and no startling personal injury. Rather, the narrative begins with a straightforward clinical setup, a surrogate, a pregnancy, and a plan. In this case, Harry and Meghan could have given their complete consent for a UK-based surrogate to carry Archie. Until it wasn't. Everything would have been planned, anticipated, and under control. Because the surrogate in this reality made a choice that nobody anticipated. She retained the kid. The narrative abruptly shifts once more. Infidelity does not exist. Betrayal does not exist. However, there is still a child in the UK. Meghan has no emotional bond with the child, but Harry is biologically related to them. The psychological dynamics get more complex at this point. A kid that Meghan did not conceive, did not form a relationship with, and did not physically nurture has no emotional, strategic, or personal significance for her. She views the youngster as insignificant if she lacks emotional sensitivity. It's not the same with Harry, though. He does not see this youngster as a political issue, a negotiating weapon, or a burden of music. Because he is his son, the struggle is much more nuanced and terrible. Harry desires a relationship. Meghan desires authority. Instead of fighting for the child in this situation, Meghan would strive to limit Harry's access to him. Each visit turns into a negotiation. Every visit to the UK serves as a reminder of her strength. And the outcome is the same in both cases, the surrogate version and the adultery version. One was created for the world in the spotlight, and the other was maintained in the shadows for a kid he was unable to bring home. Imagine it. Unaware of the maelstrom around his name, a red-haired youngster runs across a yard at a calm house in a tiny British town. A mother who keeps the child's world serene while the rest of the world quarrels about a narrative she never requested to be part of, and a father who shows there without cameras, spending hours he cannot post and capturing pictures he cannot share. Meghan continues her ascent in a different nation, creating companies, influencing stories, and creating the life she has always felt she deserves. A life in which having a faraway child provides neither benefits nor emotional solace. 1,000 questions, one secret, and 2 universes. And the truth about Archie is somewhere in between them. Not yet shown, not yet said, but always anticipating. Because these kinds of realities don't remain hidden forever. They are suspended in midair. In interviews, they reverberate. They slide through gaps and well-rehearsed narratives. And eventually, whether by happenstance or bravery, music reveals the truth. Until then, this enigma stays the same. A shadow of royalty floating between 2 continents. A youngster whose tale is never recounted in its entirety. And a question that the globe is still whispering. Archie, where are you? And why has nobody responded?